that happened there, that we remember the environment that enabled such genocide, such human rights violations to happen, and mark the day and recognize those folks who continue to do the work, who continue to make sure that they are on the front lines of stopping these kinds of things from happening again, those who are always remembering and always speaking up and out against the atrocities that we see, even as today, in today's world, we continue to see hatred and bigotry. And so this is the occasion that we are here. I want to bring up Representative Mike Walensky. He and I are just really getting the chance to start to know each other, so it has been really great to partner with you on today's happenings, and I can't wait for more partnership between the two of us.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you all for coming today. I know all of y'all, this got put together really quickly, but I'm so grateful y'all made time to come. And obviously we know it's a sad, special day, but an important day. And as you all know, unfortunately, I'm the only Jewish person in the whole Georgia legislature right now. So that's interesting. So we need more Jewish people to run. We'll all work on that. But both Senator and I on the House floor, or her on the Senate floor, me on the House floor, we're doing a morning order or speech commemorating or recognizing today and the importance. So we'll do that later. But right now, all of the work that y'all do, we just want to be grateful for on this day. And you want me to start? Yeah. Okay. Well, we will start with the Consul General of Israel and not Sultan Darden. It's really important to me. When I started, there was another CG, and then you came, and it's been pretty amazing because we know all the mistruths and untruths that are said about Israel and the relationship between our country and our state, and it really takes somebody who's smart, compassionate, strong, and just friendly, but knows how to educate people the right way. So very appreciative that you're here representing Israel, and you do an amazing job. And I don't know if y'all have term limits, but I hope you stay forever. So come on up. Yeah. And also the Assistant Deputy, Alex. Consul General. Deputy, oh, okay. Deputy Consul General, Alex. I just call you Alex. And yeah, do we want to do a...
If you want to say some words, you can. It's not, you don't.
I told them they
don't have to.
Yeah, you can, I didn't know the plan. Do you want to say words today?
Well, I can.
Yeah.
Our profession is to speak.
That's right.
I will just briefly say thank you. I know that in the state of Georgia, Holocaust commemoration has always been of great importance, and we have many relevant and important individuals with us today. And of course, Sally Levine is a testament also to the importance that the state of Georgia attaches to Holocaust remembrance, education, and I think we are all acutely aware of how relevant and vital it is today, not only to remember, but to educate. And thank you for the initiative and for playing a part in that remembrance.
And so I want to next acknowledge Eric Robbins and the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, which really is a great cultural and community center, allowing for people to gather, allowing for people to be united, and remembering heritage and making sure that all of the positives are accentuated and that the negatives are dispelled. And so Eric and I have known each other for many years. We're parents together. We've served on a board together. And of course, you've led the Federation for the last almost 6 years now. You've been heavily involved in the Jewish community for decades. And so thank you so much for being here. And I am glad to recognize and acknowledge you and the work that you are doing every day through the Federation.
Thank you very much, Sonia. And it was really we really appreciate being invited here and being a part of this and making this day meaningful, if it isn't already. I think a community is really judged by how it takes care of its most vulnerable people. And, you know, I think you're going to hear a lot today, and we all know the relevance and the lessons that the Holocaust teaches. But I think even more importantly, survivors of the Holocaust still live amongst us. And I think we often forget that. I mean, in the state of Georgia, we have, or in the metropolitan Atlanta, the state of Georgia, we have more. In Metro Atlanta, there are 250 survivors who continue to have needs, whether it be home care, whether it be health care, whether it be food assistance. And, you know, the Federation is really proud that we've been able to really make sure that we could take care of them. We estimate that over the next 5 years that will exceed $2 million. And there used to be a lot of national dollars that came to help survivors, and that's dwindling. But this community has stepped up in ways that many communities have not been able to make sure that those survivors can live out their lives in dignified ways, and that their needs are taken care of. And I'm really proud of that the Atlanta Jewish Federation has been part of that, along with our partners. We have a great safety net of organizations here, including Jewish Home Life Communities and Jewish Family and Children's Services, the Jewish Community Center, Eternal Life Hemschleck, and my partners that are here today who will talk to you. It makes me really proud that Atlanta has made Holocaust survivors something really, really important that we take care of. And as we acknowledge this this solemn day of Holocaust Remembrance, I'll share a few Hebrew values. I probably should have Anat do this. She'd probably do a better job than me, but I think grounding ourselves in a few values that I'll give you the Hebrew of and what they mean. One is Gimilut Hasidim, which is the Jewish imperative to perform acts of loving kindness. Another is Parnassah, which is we will not let our survivors live in poverty. And another is Kavod, which basically means honor. And after the honors that these individuals suffered, we will lift up their lives. So today we're inspired by their spirit, carry on their life force, and let's teach lessons so that the horrific things like the Holocaust don't ever happen again. Thank you again for having us here.
Next, I will acknowledge another friend of mine from the years and years we've spent in the arts community together, Leslie Gordon, who of course is now running the Breman Jewish Heritage Museum. Museums are really our historical centers, and they don't just unite communities. They don't just show us artifacts. They really are living, breathing museums that allow us to be and feel and recognize our humanity and recognize our interconnectedness as well. And that work is really important. And so I want to bring up Leslie Gordon. Your leadership has really helped the center more fully realize its potential as one of the most important Jewish cultural centers in the Atlanta area.
So I'm Adam Copeland. I'm the board chair of the Breman Museum, and I will be speaking on behalf of our organization. Every generation of Jews bears responsibility to tell the story of the Holocaust and to remember the people who were murdered, and also to promote our core belief of never again. Never again to Jews, and indeed, never again to any group. Every day, the Breman lives up to this solemn responsibility through actual artifacts, films, recordings, and most importantly, survivors who share their experiences. The Breman gives history a name, a face, and a voice. Breman programming with Georgia survivors has been at the core and center of our work since our opening in 1996. Seeing history through this personal and verifiable lens is powerful and poignant. Through these voices, the unfathomable events of the Holocaust become real to thousands of students and visitors annually. And we don't teach this history in a vacuum. We are the archive and the repository for Southern Jewish history in the state of Georgia. At the same time, we showcase Jewish-related arts and culture. We shine a light on who we are and what we have contributed. This way, our audience better understands the impact of the tragic losses of our darkest era in our history. We aim for our endeavor to spread tolerance and to build community, a community filled with mutual respect and understanding. On behalf of the Breman and Leslie and her team, we are grateful for this recognition. Thank you.
We would also like to recognize the Anti-Defamation League. And we've got Allison Goodman here with us. And the ADL, you are the defenders of the Jewish community. You are on the front lines fighting anti-Semitism for years. And frankly, that work is more critical now than ever. With all of the bigotry that we're seeing, the extremism that we are seeing, and even just 2 weeks ago, of course, with the hostage situation in the synagogue, we know that the work that you're doing remains as vital and critical as ever. So thank you very much, Sally. Come on. Allison, sorry. I'm looking at Sally and I'm thinking Allison. Allison, welcome.
Thank you so much for bringing us together today and recognizing this really important occasion. It's really heartening to see what an amazing landscape of Jewish organizations we have in this state and what resource we have on this, from really understanding and recognizing and advocating for understanding of the Holocaust, to having a space where people can come and learn about the Holocaust, to promoting the Jewish community, promoting the connection to Israel. We just have this amazing landscape. And ADL is really proud to be a part of this. Holocaust education is really at the forefront of everything we do. We know that Holocaust education is one of the foremost indicators for countering bias and bigotry. And while we have this amazing landscape of Jewish organizations and non-Jewish organizations that promote understanding of the Holocaust, standing in this building, I think it's important to recognize that that ground is shaking right now, and we really have to pay attention to what's to come for our future generations, to secure Holocaust education for our children and our grandchildren, and we have work to do, and it's great to be here together to kind of recognize that on this day. So thanks.
Oh, I just found out something new about Sally, who is also Representative Walensky's school teacher. But she is with the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust, and of course, you are our educational center and educational leaders. As the executive director of the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust, you've been instrumental in bringing a permanent Holocaust exhibit to the Capitol. And for anybody who has not actually seen that, I mean, we can all go down and actually, you can tour it for us, but it really is incredible, and that is a permanent exhibit here at the Capitol. So this is the kind of work that, that you have done that's really made a permanent imprint here at the Capitol, and that is not at all to say that the work that you're doing does not resonate and reverberate in a much greater and grander way. And so thank you very much for being here, along with your board member, Mark Scheinfeld, who, as I understand it, you're the child of a Holocaust survivor yourself. And so to the point that Eric made earlier, and I don't think that we can understate this, we talk about many things as if it were forever ago. So we're commemorating 77 years today, but there are folks living still amongst us who can tell the stories, and it is important that we document those and that we continue to tell those and keep that oral tradition going so that we don't ever forget, or never forget, I know is the what we say, and it's critical that that happens. And that is what's on shaky ground, especially as we talk about how we are going to educate our children and what may or may not be taught and what lens may or may not be used by our teachers, even in terms of equity, the just basic equity. And so anyway, thank you for all of the work that you do, and welcome.
Thank you for the privilege of addressing you today. I'm Sally Levine. I'm the Executive Director of the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust. We are a secular, nonpartisan state agency, and it is our mission to educate students, teachers, and all of Georgians, not only about the history of the Holocaust, but about how that impacts us and what we learn from that today. We also take another lens on this, and that lens is, how did the Holocaust happen? So we don't only look at our survivors and our liberators, but what conditions led to the Holocaust taking place? What were the circumstances that created a ripe ground for something like this to happen? And what kinds of choices did people have? I think that for our general audiences, we need to talk about what kinds of choices people make and the impact of those choices long term. So I think that's really important for us as well. And regarding Representative Michael Walensky, I just have to say, for many teachers, we work very hard, we're very proud of our students, and we really don't know what kind of impact we have over the long term. And for me, it is so extraordinarily gratifying to see Michael not only involved in government, I taught him language arts and social studies, but also to see that he is, you know, he's somebody who wants to spread a really important message. So for me, that's very gratifying. Can I speak?
I didn't expect to say anything. My parents were Holocaust survivors. My father was interned, if you call it that, for 56 months. My mother was 18 months. Combined, I think it was 126 relatives were exterminated. And then my father and mother spent another 4 years in a displaced persons camp. So for my father, literally a decade, 10 years of his life from the age of 19 to 29 were just completely obliterated or displaced. For me, it's always very emotional and meaningful. My father told me two things that I remember. One was that no one could have imagined, could have dreamed what happened. And number two is he said they made it against the law to be me. As a result, I've always been very vigilant about trying to figure out how to make sure that the drip, drip, drip doesn't occur and that they make it against the law to be me again. We have to be very careful about our freedoms. I guess the third thing my father used to tell me every single day of my life was that he felt that America, the United States, was the greatest country ever created, and that I didn't know how good I had it, but I actually do. Thank you.
Well, with that, I will say that it gives me great honor to recognize, on behalf of the Georgia State Senate, the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, the Breman Jewish Heritage Museum, the Anti-Defamation League, and the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust on the occasion of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, today, January 27th, 2022. I'm going to read, we have a resolution for each of the organization, and we're going to read the resolution. Whereas International Holocaust Remembrance Day marks the anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration and labor camp that killed nearly, 6 million Jewish people. And whereas the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta was founded over a century ago to support the Atlanta Jewish community through philanthropy, and whereas the Federation's mission has grown over the decades to plan for the community's future, to rise up to meet human needs of the people of Atlanta, and to amplify Jewish Atlanta's incredible assets, and whereas the Federation continues to grow and support the Jewish community of Atlanta through initiatives such as the Holocaust Survivor Support Fund, Atlanta Birthright Community Trips, and the Jewish Education Collaborative, and whereas the Breman Jewish Heritage Museum was opened in 1996, just in time for the Summer Olympics, immediately becoming the largest museum of its kind in the Southeast and providing information on the Holocaust and how it relates to Georgia. And whereas the Lillian and A.J. Weinberg Center for Holocaust Education at the Breman Jewish Heritage Museum makes authentic resources on the Holocaust available to teachers, students, and institutions while passing on the memory of the Holocaust so that the lessons of past horrors may continue to inform future generations. And whereas the Breman Jewish Heritage Museum continues to interpret and preserve the Southern Jewish experience and educate people around the globe on its significance. And whereas the Anti-Defamation League is an international nonprofit dedicated to stopping the defamation of the Jewish people, and it continues to fight for the right of all people to be treated with dignity and respect more than a century after its founding. And whereas the Anti-Defamation League's Southeast Regional Office is based in Georgia and provides anti-bias training for workplaces and schools, advocates for social justice initiatives, and lends their unique voice to the challenges that face us. And whereas the Anti-Defamation League was a leader in the Hate-Free Georgia Coalition, which supported the passage of HB 426, the state's first piece of hate crimes legislation. And whereas the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust is a state agency that strives to preserve the memory of the Holocaust and promote public understanding of the history, and whereas the Commission offers speakers, traveling exhibits, and other educational programs that explore the importance and continued relevance of Holocaust history, and whereas the Commission plays a central role in the state to support cities and counties as they pursue initiatives to further increase understanding of the past and honor those we have lost appropriately. And whereas it is fitting and proper that these four organizations be recognized and honored for their efforts in ensuring that the Jewish community continues to thrive in Georgia and that the horrors of the Holocaust are never forgotten. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, the Breman Jewish Heritage Museum, the Anti-Defamation League, and the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust for their extraordinary work and look forward to working with each to remember our past and inspire our future. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Senate will make appropriate copies of this resolution available to the distribution of each. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I will say, as things go, that that this is not the final pretty copy of the resolution, so we will get you your final versions in due order. But thank you so much for everything that each of you do every single day. Your work is appreciated, it is noticed, and it is as important and critical as ever. So thank you so much. And thank you for joining us here this morning. And I'm glad to be with each of you and glad to work alongside each of you as well. Thank you.
Should do a group picture.
We should totally do a group picture.
Okay. All right, everyone can come around, and I'm gonna hold the resolution.
Well, you know what, we should be in front, I think.
Front,
It's,
okay.
I think